Howdy, y'all. Welcome back to the Wright Brothers and volume number 11 of Love Letters from the Left. Now, y'all know the drill. This is the time where we typically will read the hate mail we receive from our loving and tolerant friends on the left-hand side of the aisle, but with a very important reminder. We do this in the spirit of the Greek philosopher Epictetus, who famously said, "Any person capable of angering you becomes your master. He can anger you only when you permit yourself to be disturbed by him." We always recite this phrase because it is very important to remember that these individuals on the left-hand side of the aisle, we are not allowing them to dictate the status quo. We don't allow them to dictate the moods that my brother and I are frequently going through life with. But I also want to encourage you with this other quote from Eleanor Roosevelt, who famously said, "No one can make you feel inferior without your consent." Keep that in mind as we read these hateful comments from our friends on the left-hand side of the aisle, and sit back, relax, and enjoy Love Letters from the Left, Volume 11.
All right, y'all, with no further ado, let's get right down into it. You know why you clicked the video, you know what you're here for, so let's give that to you. Our first comment comes to us on our Facebook page, no less, from Gary M. He says, "Boot-licking Uncle Toms, self-loathing, sycophantic sellout." You usually don't get that level of vocabulary in an insult, so I'm actually kind of impressed by this already.
Points for that.
Yes, points. White buttocks, lunching geldings. All right, points deducted for lunching. Confuses independent thinking with backwards thinking. Their baseball caps are just as twisted as their thinking. Twin pandering morons. You know what? The biggest insult I think in that was the twisted baseball cap. Our baseball caps are quite straight. They are kept in mint condition. I will have this individual know. But exactly. What's our second one?
Valiant attempt. I'll give them that. Now, this comment comes to us. Actually, it's a comment on our last Love Letters from the Left volume 10. This individual was not amused by the fact that we were reading these hateful comments from leftists, so they naturally decided to pile on to the hateful comments. This is what they said. "Oh, great. Part 2 of the stupidest video ever posted. I don't know which option to select when reporting this video. Hateful, harmful, promotes terrorism, misleading. I wish there was an option for all of the above."
That's quite the rap sheet, I'd say.
Yeah, I don't understand how you equivocate the content that we create with, being hateful or harmful, promoting terrorism. But, some individuals out there are only happy if they can make others around them as miserable as they are. So for this individual, I would encourage you, seek professional help as quickly as you possibly can.
Absolutely. Moving on from one disturbed individual to another. This one comes from someone named Anna on Twitter, and she took it upon herself to say that basically racism is an issue all over the great state of Texas, and as any Texan worth their salt, I took umbrage with such an assertion. I said it is not. It isn't. You weirdo. I couldn't help myself. But as far as Twitter insults go, that one's pretty tame.
Short and sweet.
Yes, she responded though as if I were making it up. She says, "Lying and acting like an unruly, immature child does not change the truth. Her truth about racism being an issue in Texas all over." Somehow, yes. But the most amazing part of this whole interaction was her last comment to me, saying, "Just because your picture is black doesn't mean you're black. Clearly, you have a very limited, angry view of racism. Nothing I've tweeted should make you this angry and hateful. May want to try some anger management classes." And the rest of her comment notwithstanding, I'm actually choosing to be flattered by the fact that she thinks that I would just choose a random black person's picture as if it were just a stock photo in a lineup and run with it as my own. That's flattering. I'm pretty, apparently.
Yeah, and what's very revealing about this, though, is actually she's not even that wrong if you use the logic of the current individual in the White House who did, and I quote, say that if you have a problem figuring out if you're going to vote for him or Trump, you ain't black. So maybe she's onto something there. Who knows?
Perhaps.
Time will tell. Time will tell. Let's keep it moving. This comment comes to us on Facebook, actually. And this individual, Anthony is his name. Anthony says the following. It's funny how you can criticize the left and their shit, but can never turn a mirror on yourself. You ain't no saint. Points deducted for double negative there, but let's continue.
Yes, indeed.
You ain't no different. More points deducted for another double negative.
Just racking them up at this point.
You don't some horrible shit, but pretend to be a good person, even though, THO, you're not, so-called, quote, real brother. Huh. You know, I'm not going to respond to this like I normally would. I would like you to respond to this. You tell me, does that make sense to you? Do you understand what he was trying to say there?
The syntax was garbled beyond all recognition. I believe the main thrust of his comment was to say that you and I are not related. Am I judging this correctly?
I'm not sure exactly where he was going with this. It is very sad, though, that this individual says we never criticize the right, and that is actually not true. We've criticized the right many times on this channel. Anyone who has been watching knows that. But therein lies the trap of individuals who haplessly wander over to our page, either on YouTube or on Facebook, is they don't do any due diligence whatsoever, which is something that we harp on all the time. And thus they come off half-cocked and undereducated. So, Anthony, you as well, please seek help. Throw it back to you.
Seek help immediately. Yes. This next one, it comes in the context of a larger conversation. I'm not going to belabor the point, but the whole tenor of the interaction took a turn when someone, I assume they are not from Texas or the South, didn't really understand what the phrase "bless your heart" means.
Oh, no.
And as many of us are familiar, "bless your heart" is a pseudo polite way of telling someone to go fornicate themselves. So this person, Last Bolshevik, is the name on Twitter, responded to my "bless your heart" to and also with you, and he posted a picture from a random film with people dancing in front of a giant menorah. I'm not a movie buff. I hadn't seen the film. I had no idea where this came from. So of course my response was bewilderment because I'd never seen that response to "bless your heart" before. So I was just like, okay, Jewish reference, random. And they immediately responded back with, "Are you anti-Semitic? It's a Mel Brooks reference, but it's interesting how you took it to an anti-Semitic place."
No!
I was floored, flummoxed, flabbergasted. I literally was only responding to the fact that there's a giant menorah in the very center of the GIF that was posted. And they came back later and doubled down on the foolishness after I clarified, obviously, neither Damani nor myself are in any way, shape, or form anti-Semitic, but we digress. They came back and said, "You literally said it was a Jewish reference and mocked that in some implication of anti-Semitism or ignorance thereof, when it was clearly a Mel Brooks reference." There was no Mel Brooks any signage on the GIF, but moving on. Either way, you're doubling down on your ignorance, but Van, again, points deducted, for a black MAGA, I'm not surprised. So, to recap, not only did they not explain a GIF in response to "bless your heart," but then they immediately took it to a racial place upon their projection of anti-Semitism. That was truly a magnum opus of ignorance, a comedy of errors, if you will. Damani, do you have anything to top that?
I wish I could say I didn't, but this next one here also is an individual who was reaching to the stratosphere to try to find some sort of moral high ground over me. This is on Instagram, and this individual mentioned something, or commented something, I should say, on my "I have questions for individuals who have been jabbed to protect against the unspecified virus of unknown origin." This individual, GC Hawk 89, commented, Literally, had someone I knew for a long time die to it, you F clown. Talking about this virus. It says, you are a waste of my time. And then the comment continues, so it wasn't that much of a waste of my time.
Apparently not.
And no, the S you are saying is just F false. My family is Greek, and my grandparents' siblings were killed because of Hitler. Trump showed way more tendencies of Hitler. Yep. Spurious assertion there, but let's keep going. You're literally the reason people like my wife and I can't take our daughter out because she's not protected. You're a terrible person, and when you go meet your God, parentheses, which could be Trump, I'm assuming, you'll have to answer for this. These comments, they read like a Curious George story. They start at one point and they just move all over. Here's what I want to say to this. So, of course, they make the Trump and Hitler comparison. We've heard that a million times by now, and you can debunk that till the cows come home. I didn't even respond to this comment, but this person said that I am the reason that he and his wife can't take their daughter out. Mm-hmm. We're not going to get into a science review here on this video, but I think anyone with a brain and with a even perfunctory understanding of statistics knows that that statement is just patently false. So I just hope that this individual will spend some time away from the keyboard and take his wife and his daughter out and about, because it's a beautiful world out there, and being cooped up inside just obviously leads you to leave comments like this. So I'd encourage you to get away from the keyboard and enjoy this beautiful world that we have.
Yes, partake, if you will. All right, this next one comes in the context of Texas Governor Greg Abbott's visit to Aggieland for a football game. Now, full disclosure, he is actually a University of Texas grad, but he managed to come up to visit a little sliver of Texas and say howdy to some folks anyways. Someone took it upon themselves to say, basically, he only took pictures with the white Texas A&M players, which was a ludicrous comment because he was out there during warm-ups. Most of Texas A&M special teams specialists are Caucasian, but that's never been an impediment to the Aggie football team. Love is the reason for the fight is a popular mantra for the team in 2021, and this game was no exception, obviously. But when I commented such, I got the following response back from someone who's stirred up trouble on campus before. She says, the only color prized on that campus is maroon. Wow, says it all. Maroon lives matter, right, bud? And all the churlishness aside, of course I'm going to say the maroon is the color around which all Aggies should rally. But beyond that, I actually extended the olive branch to her and was saying, hey, it looks like you're in San Antonio, or if you're not, whenever you're still in town, come on by and I'll buy your meal and we can fellowship about anything and everything Texas A&M or whatever you might want to discuss. And it actually ended up diffusing the interaction pretty quickly because she did not take me up on my offer, did not direct message me, but it was just a good object lesson for me to remind myself how quickly you can bring the temperature down and really put the ball in someone else's court to make amends and really get down to the nitty gritty of, what do we really disagree about, or do you just want to score Twitter points? Damani, over to you.
A soft answer turns away wrath, right?
Amen.
Speaking of wrath, I have one final piece of hate mail, and this is probably one of the longest messages we've ever received, but bear with me, it just literally gets better and better, all right? This comes to us on Facebook, and this individual, Byron, says the following. This is in response to the singing video that many of y'all saw me do, the parody video of the J.G. Wentworth music, but I digress. So this individual says, in response to that video, I think you really enjoy wearing those wigs a little too much. You're such a mountain of misinformation that you had to try to get more attention than you normally get because no one pays attention to your posts dressed in your nice suits. All right, that's one way to start.
Oh, this is
so
the
he
start.
Continues.
Oh my gosh.
So how do I get more attention since nobody is really paying any attention to me except for my hillbilly followers?
Hillbilly?
I know. I'll put on colorful wigs and women's clothes and sing a song from commercials. Let's stop right there for a second. For anyone who was just the tiniest bit observant, you realize that I was not wearing women's clothes. I was actually wearing choir robes, but we know that logic is not a favorite skill of individuals on the left. Yep, but wait, there's more. Continues. So this way people will notice me. Not for the reasons you think, though. People notice that you should be playing professional football somewhere.
Interesting quip.
Okay. You seem to have the build for a middle linebacker, but I'm sure you can't take the hits. So you get your own page and spout misinformation to all your hillbilly followers.
All right, here
they're a lot easier to fool. But wait, there's even more. However, people with half a brain sees that you're a fraudulent Candace Owens wannabe. Embarrassing minstrel show for the benefit of white people. Reading the comments to this post proves my point. You, : is that fine, massa?
Oh, wow. we dropped all pretense there at the end, didn't we?
We literally went all over God's green earth with that comment. You know what's really interesting is he said you should be playing professional football. I don't know if that's an insult or a compliment. I'll take it as a compliment because many of y'all out there know I actually did do college football. I was a middle linebacker. This individual was right. And I also went on to play arena football for actually 2 preseasons. So that's spot on there. But the whole purpose of that message really was just to pull out any sort of angry one-liner, angry gotcha word.
Yep.
To really try to put me in my place. It really just goes to show how joyless the average leftist is. And those individuals who do comment on our posts, we typically do engage with and encounter many individuals who feel the need to just hurl insults frantically, hoping something will stick. But you know how we do here. Nothing ever sticks. And actually, we get more positive comments on this channel than negative comments. And to get into the positive comments, I will turn the floor back over to my brother to usher us into the spotlight on the right.
Well, yeah, like Damani was saying, we get way more positive than negative, probably at a 85 to 90% clip, if I had to guess. We got a really nice one on one of our YouTube videos about how liberals really feel about conservatives, an earlier Love Letters from the Left edition. And this inspiring sister says, yes, I've lost a lot of liberal friends because I didn't do it their way. I tried to reason with them, stating that our friendship was never established based on our political views. Well, I feel so liberated since they are not in my life. Thank you for your truth and being courageous. And thank you, Inspiring, just for feeling so led to give us some encouragement, give us some praise. We really do appreciate it. And we always advocate, do whatever you can to salvage those relationships, especially if it looks like they're on shaky ground based over simple political differences. They can seem insurmountable, but honestly, there's so much more to life, so much more common ground that can be found outside of the political arena that it really is not practical or wise to sever relationships preemptively just based on politics. But if people choose to disassociate, then that's on them, and you can still react with love and grace. And we appreciate the love that you showed us.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I'll go ahead and bring volume 11 home with one more positive comment from an individual, Lena Stark. This is in response to my Black Lives Matter debunked video I released several months ago. Lena says, when one looks at the number of views, likes, and comments on every Wright Brothers video, it is easy to surmise that YouTube shadow bans them. The Wright Brothers should have views, likes, and comments in the millions or at least in the hundreds of thousands. Keep speaking the truth, brothers. Sooner or later, it will fall on all the deaf ears out there. Rolina, thank you so much. We will keep speaking the truth. And honestly, even if YouTube does do something to our channel where we cannot grow the way individuals think that we should, guess what? We're still going to speak out because the message is that important. And we do hope that one day, just with pure persistence and consistency, that our words will reach those individuals who need to hear it, will fall on those deaf ears, and hopefully have an impact. We want to say thank you to all of you out there who have actually helped to amplify our voices by continuing to watch, continuing to share the content my brother and I tirelessly pour ourselves into week after week, month after month, and yes, year after year. We are now rolling into, in 2022, that will be our 4th calendar year of creating content. And we cannot believe there are some of y'all out there who have stuck with us through this entire time and who have helped see this mission continue on. I do want to say thank you to everyone out there who's taken it upon themselves to support us financially by donating on Patreon, by sending stars on Facebook, whatever it may be. every little bit goes a long way, and it helps us continue to amplify our production values and bring you something that is truly worth watching. So thank you to all of you out there who've chosen us to support us in this fashion. And the last thing we'll ask you to do is, if you enjoyed this Love Letters from the Left Volume 11, we will ask you to smash that like button right now. Smash that subscribe button as well. Press that notification bell and share it with a friend. Share with them the hope and the aspirational statement that identity politics is dead, because one day we do hope it will be. There will be more love letters coming soon, and we can't wait to bring them to you. But until then, God bless you all. I'm Damani, that's Trey, and we will catch you in the next one.
The first revolution is when you change your mind about how you look at things and see that there might be another way to look at it that you have not been shown. The revolution will not be televised, and be no rerun, brothers and sisters. The revolution will be live.